Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about and doing a review of the Citizen ProMaster Skyhawk A-T. And A-T stands for Advanced Technology. They coined that years ago when they came out with the radio controlled and the solar and other advanced technologies built into the watch. Right here I have some everyday carry items I thought I'd put next to it to show scale. I always carry this in my pocket. That is a Maglite Solitaire. It runs on one AAA battery. I always keep that in my pocket, one of my cargo pockets. You get stuck in a stairwell and the power's out, you can't see, or your keys at night. It's just you always want to have a flashlight with you. And this is very small and light, and that's why I like it. So I always have that with me. I have a bigger one in the bag I carry around with me all the time too, that I keep in the car. We have here a Griptilian. This is the all G10 model, and it has the sheep's foot style blade. Love this knife. About 4.2 ounces. This is very light. And of course we have the watch, which is the topic of our review today. So let's move these out of the side. And we'll take a look at the watch. So right away you can tell it's just a beautiful watch. It has a black IP coating, which is iron plating, and a really nice job on that. If you just take a look at it, it's got alternating glossy or brushed finishes. Just a very handsome watch, especially on the bracelet. The bracelet is designed to go along with the watch, so it's got the same brushed and glossy parts alternating like what's going on with the watch. If you look at the coin edge bezel, for instance, the little wing section is going to be matte where the actual coins are glossy, and they do that throughout. Really nice. So this watch is obviously it's a pilot style watch. Has tons of feature on it. I'm not going to show how to use every feature. That would take a long time. That would probably take an hour or more. I'm going to keep this reasonable time, 10-15 minutes hopefully. And so I'm going to talk about the features of the watch, my review of the watch and how I like it and whether it's comfortable, all those issues and what it's like as a daily wear. And then we'll go over other features of the watch that make it a really nicely designed watch, and especially compared to the earlier models, and which I'm going to show right now. That'll be a good way to get into this. We're going to show it's the same generation. These are both fourth generation, but the cases change, and they don't change the generation. It's the module that is the fourth gen, I believe, and the modules are identical. So I had no learning curve when I got this watch recently compared to this one I've had for the past 4 or 5 years or so. Because the module is the same, so everything works the same way, all the instructions and everything, which gets quite complicated. But not as complicated as an all-hand model. If you look at those perpetual chronographs by Citizen, and you got to set everything up. You got to use the hands only. It's like 25 steps. You really need the manual and go step by step unless you do it a million times, which you're not going to. Because it's perpetual. You set it up once and you're good to go. This is radio controlled. Both of these are radio controlled. So that means that you don't have to go through all that setting. Once it gets that first signal, boom, it does everything for you depending on the, and it knows where you are and everything. So, well, UTC time, you got to put in the offset to know where you are. All right, so what are the differences? Well, right off the bat, this is a very large watch. This one came on a bracelet, and it was like close to 7 ounces. So I promptly sold the bracelet. I got a Hurst strap for it, which I really didn't care for. Not that all Hurst straps are like that, but that one was sticky. I couldn't even change the whole position when I went for a walk or whatever. It was a green, that's why I bought it. It was a really nice green to go with the nice green accents that are on this green model. They actually make this. I saw this on Amazon. They're still this is a current model. They still make this. It's still around. Really nice with the green. But it's a massive watch. It is really big, and I didn't carry it for years. That's why it looks like brand new. Obviously this is an aftermarket strap. Like I said, it came on a bracelet, and it was heavy. I just couldn't do it. It's just enormously large. This watch is 54 millimeters from lug to lug. That's big. Unless you have like 7.5 inch wrists, maybe 7.25 or over, it's gonna look massive on your wrist. And it's close to 14 millimeters thick. It's not overly thick. It's like 13.5. Same as the new one. Same as this one right here. It's around the same thickness there. I think it's a 0.5 millimeter thicker. It's a little tiny bit thicker because the bezel is a tiny bit bigger. This one actually has they both have that slide rule bezel. But this one's heavier too. The watch itself is over, with the bracelet, is over right around 7 ounces, where this one is coming up more like 6.2. And that's because the bracelet weighs less and the watch itself weighs less. The head, or just the watch itself, not any strap or anything on this one, is 3.2 ounces versus 3.6. So 0.4 ounces heavier, which is almost half an ounce. And once the ounces get up there, it makes a difference, you know, or if you're wearing it on a light strap or something like that, that makes a big difference. And then the sheer size, you can see it's bigger across from here to here. It's 49 millimeters with the crown included. They're both about 45, but this one here, the pushers and everything take up the whole side. So you have to really say that's the diameter on this one, which is 47 millimeters versus 45. And if you can see on this one here, the one I just got, it's just the buttons. There's no lot of extra stuff. There is crown guards though right in the middle here. Nice knurling on the black. But yeah, this black is gorgeous. Anyway, I think the whole design is better overall, besides the massive size. This leather strap is Gildan. I got it on Amazon for 26 bucks shipped. I really loved it. I'm starting to wear this now because it handles the weight really well. This nice thick but supple leather fits my 7.5-inch wrist perfectly. You can go 8.25 easily. And even the buckle, satin, milled, beefy, beautiful, beautiful buckle. Helps to counteract the weight of the watch itself, and it kind of matches too. The satin silver matches. So a home run when I found this one. I looked for a long time. It was like a year. It sat in my safe. I said, I got to start wearing this. So I bought this recently, and I've been wearing this watch. So this one's really nice still with the green accents and stuff. But if you notice, it has a reverse LED on those two LEDs. I mean LCDs, I'm sorry, LCD screens. See how it's hard to see compared to the normal? So that's one big improvement right there. Look at the UTC at the top. Right here we have the UTC subdial. And it is smaller on here. You can tell that it's much bigger, much easier to read. And it has that orange accent on it, just like this one has the green accent on it. So look at the design. You can tell, I think it's much better. This one here has gray printing, which you can barely see. And that could have been the design idea, is make it subdued so you can concentrate on the hands and the other things, like the LCD. But I'm not a fan as much as the beautiful contrast with the white lettering against the black. There you can see the solar panel. These are both Echo Drive, by the way. They're solar. Last like 25 years in the battery. Never maintenance on the movement or anything. So these are great survival watches. All the Echo Drives, a lot of them with 200-meter water resistance, which these both are. They're going to last a long time with no maintenance whatsoever. It's just really an unbelievable concept. But there in the center, you can see that nice solar panel. And here's a close-up of this one. I'm going to do a review of this one at some time in the future. Really pretty. Look at the numbers on the UTC, the 6 and the 18 and the 24. You got the 24-hour clock. Let me go over the features so you don't get lost on here, in case you haven't seen them before. So let's go to the features, then we'll do the specs. So here we have the UTC time, really big and really easy to see at a glance. So if you're a pilot, that's very important. All the communications you do, I'm a ham radio operator, I have a ham radio channel, and everything's in UTC. And the same thing with pilots and military people. You got to have UTC, so when you're communicating with people across time zones, you both know what time it is relative to each other. So you could synchronize things and so forth. So here we have the UCT clock. To the left of that, we have the power reserve indicator, which, you know, if you've seen my other reviews, I love power reserve indicators. I was reading a whole forum on a particular dive watch. It was the new Aqualand. I have a review of the Aqualand ProMaster, all made in Japan one. And I was reading a forum, and they said, what a useless complication. I don't need to see a power reserve on the watch. But if you're diving and your life is at stake and you've got the watch as a backup to your dive computer, what if the batteries in the dive computer goes? What if you smash it against a rock? You're now going to be relying on your watch, mostly on the bezel, when you turn the bezel to time your dive or whatever. So what if your self-winding or your battery goes while you're underwater. And, that's what Murphy does. Man, Murphy is sitting on that watch, waiting for these things to happen. And there you go. So if you have a power reserve indicator on it, like this one right here is full, then you have no worries that you're going to run out of power while you're diving, on that kind of thing. So on less important, when you're not underwater, where you have to breathe, every few seconds. But still, it's an important thing to know. You're going on a mission, you're a fighter pilot or something, you're going on a mission. It's good to know that you're fully charged, because if you're in a cockpit all the time and there's no under a sleeve or something and no light is hitting it, it's possible eventually that your battery's going to go dead on these Echo Drive watches. You got to keep them charged, and this will tell you that you're doing that. So that's really great. This subdial also has what country that the radio signal is going to be connected to. So once you connect to the signal the first time, this is going to move over and tell you, oh, it's the USA or China, Japan, or in Europe, I believe it's in Germany. So that'll tell you where it is. The handle all the way over to the right here is the 24-hour subdial. And that's so if you're in the darkness, a lot of people, again, say that that's a useless complication. Well, down here on this on the LCD display, depending on where the function is, this will display all different things: chronograph, stopwatch, alarms. You can do all those things on this LCD display. And over here, we have another time zone. So there's actually 3 times all running at once that you could see at a glance. So here we have Paris for one of the other time zones. And over here we have New York City time, which is 12:13, which is the time right now. So I moved the hour hand around so you can see these dials, because it was 12 o'clock covering the UTC. It's really easy to swap between the two. So what I did was I put Paris time on. So let's say you're a pilot, you're flying to Europe from New York, and you're leaving your time zones. So you could always see what New York time is by looking at this LCD display right there. You can see that it's 12:14. It's counting the seconds, and it's telling you that it's New York City right there. On this side we have Paris, and you could switch those at any time and adjust it for the 43 cities and time zones. Obviously there's not 43 time zones, but sometimes there are half or quarter time zones, like 5 hours and 15 behind or ahead or something like that. So this will handle those. So it does 43 cities that you could set in there. All the time zones on Earth as well. And then you have your UTC time here, which is important to them, to pilots. So right at a glance, you've got 6:15 Paris, 12:15 in New York City, and then we have over here, we got 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we got 1,600 hours and 1,615 hours UTC time. I believe that's what it is. 12, 13, 14, 15, yep, 16. All right, so that's the UTC. So you see them all at a glance, which is really nice. So we went over this display here, and then we have the function hands. I'm going to move the hands now. We'll show you how to do that. Well, let me move this watch out of the way. So we're all done with this. Those are the differences, as you can tell. The 24-hour clock on this is pretty cool, though, because everything that's green striped is going to be daylight hours, and then the dark hours is going to be the dark part at the top. This is a nice design watch, too. It is really nice. It's just harder to read with the LCD being dark and the letters being grayed out and so forth. But it has the same slide rule, just a different implementation. And it has the pushers are very large. It's got a turbine. Now, this is nice. We'll do a review on this. There's the back. Yep, very comfortable. Before I forget, I got to do a wristwatch check. Waited too long on that. So, recent acquisition. This is the Tissot C-Star Powermatic 80. That's an 80-hour power reserve. This one has the really cool blue. See how that's moving around? Really ethereal blue cloud kind of a thing moving there. It's really, really nice. This is a more blingy dive watch, as you can tell, but I love this watch, man. I've been wearing this every day since I got it. I can't wait to do a review on this Tissot Mark buckle. Yeah, this is a really nice automatic. Look at that sweep second hand. Sapphire crystal. Display back too. Yeah, wait till you see all this. I'm going to do a review on this very shortly. I can't wait to do it. So anyway, that is the watch I am wearing right now. All right, so continuing on with the review and the look at the dial. So I'm going to switch time zones now so we can get that hour hand out of the way so we can see the functions. But before I do that, let me do the things that are actually clear right now. So right here, we can see that it says Echo Drive. A little bit better, you can see now the power reserve. And then, well, let me hit the, you can check to see if it connected to the clock last night, the atomic clock in Colorado. And right near it says no. I didn't put it in a place near a window last night where it can do that. But if it was successful, we got 3 little markings over here on the side that say high, medium, and low, and that'll be a recording of the signal strength. So if it says any one of these 3, it was successful in connecting to that. Here you can see the 24-hour better, and it says right there, it says UTC. And there's the 24-hour clock, you can see a little bit better. And there's the New York City one, and here are the functions. So we're going to move that. So it's really easy. So let's say you're a pilot, you cross the time zone. All you do is pull this out to the first click, push both buttons. Now we got local time. And now we have local time on the hands marked by NYC for New York City. And here, as you can see, we've switched it over. Now it says Paris here, and then it has the Paris time of 6:18. And now we can see our little function. All right, so the lower 3 will always be able to receive the signal from wherever you are in the world. If you're in the Japan or whichever one, it'll connect and adjust the watch if it's connected on one of these 3. This one says calendar, so if you want to see, which I normally do because I'm not traveling right now, so what I do, so when you have it on calendar, this right here will show the date and the day and the date and the date information. This one will show the alternate time, and this one here will show something else which I can't remember. I don't use that one. I found it was not very useful, so I don't use it that much. It's one or the other. You'll see in the manual. And then here we have the timer, chronograph. We have a world second time alarm. Then we have alarm 1, alarm 2. That might be, oh, that's UTC alarm, I believe. And then UTC time alarm. And then we have the other 3. So let me go through those now, and just so you can see what it looks like. All right, so here we have it on calendar. And now it shows 8/8 Thursday. Yeah, the hand's in the way just when I'm showing you. There it is. So we got August 8th, Thursday, which is really useful. That's where I normally keep it, just like that. Except it's, right now it says New York time. That's how it does the calendar in our current time. So that's what that one does. Then this one here puts it back to the 2 time zones on the display. And over here, let's see if I remember. And then this one here has, oh yeah, it counts down the seconds and the time on the New York City time. All right, so that's what that, I mean the Paris time. All right, so then we are gonna go back over here, and here we have the timer. Here's the countdown timer. So you just push the button, and that starts the countdown timer, and then it'll be alarm when it counts down from 10 minutes. And you can set that for up to 99 minutes, I believe. So we'll stop that, reset it. All right, pull the crown out, 1 click again, and we can go right up. Very easy to use. And then here we have the chronograph. It works just like a regular chronograph. Boom, you start it. And it is a 1/100th of a second chronograph. So that is really cool. Yep. And then right up here, it says STP for stopwatch. Another word for chronograph. It's kind of old school. Then you could reset it, you could start it. Now that was for the lap thing. Then I mean that's for starting and stopping, and then here is for resetting it. Just like the other ones. Okay, and here we go on that one. And we got this one here. We got the alarm for our current New York City time alarm. Alarm number 2. You can set 2 different alarms, that's nice. Then we're back to the radio. So that's the 6 functions that are on there. A little bit better close up there. Okay, let's go through finish going through the specs now that you saw the features. So this watch is 45 millimeters in diameter, 48 millimeters lug to lug, as you can see, compared to the 50 54 millimeters of the previous version. This is a much smaller, much manageable, more manageable watch to use and carry. So this one is 6.2 on the bracelet, much more reasonable. 3.2 on the head. So if you put a strap or a rubber strap or leather, which are normally just below or above 1 ounce, so you're looking at only like 4.2 ounces, which is relatively light for a watch this size. So very, very nicely done on the case and everything on this new version. I really like it a lot, and I wear it much more. I think I'm going to put it on an alternate strap because just the size is kind of heavy over 6. So I kind of like it on a lighter strap or something. So I'll be switching back and forth. But that's going to be one of the cons that I have at the end on the pros and cons, is that this bracelet is so precision milled. If you take a look here, how tight the tolerances are, and there's like a step. I don't know if you've done these before. They make it easy to do in a way because, of course, just like some nice rubber bands, you can see you can get in there easily and take apart the bracelet, but putting it back on it took me a little time. It is not easy. It's got to be precisely in at the right angle going in, and then put the pin in, or else it's not happening. Yeah, so to swap this out like every day or do it a lot, man, for me it's not happening because I am loath to take the bracelet off on and off. It is a bear to put on. So, all right, so getting back to the specs. So 13.5 millimeters in height. 177 grams or 6.2 ounces in the weight with the bracelet, size for a 7.5 inch wrist, and about 4.1 or 4.2 on most rubber or leather straps. The model number for this one is JY8075-51E. And you can see it on Amazon, eBay, and other places right around the $500 mark, because normally you can get 25% from authorized dealers when they're on sale. They're normally around $695. I got mine for about $521 from an authorized dealer with 25% off. In the gray market, you're going to get a little bit less than that as of 2019, probably in the upper 4s, pretty close to 5. So either way, you're looking at around a $500 price mark, which is really nice for this watch. It's exceptional for all the functionality that it does. It has a bidirectional slide rule bezel, like a lot of pilots' watches, where you can do conversions and calculations and multiplication and that kind of thing. This one has an orange wing. As you can see, there are a coin edge, but then there's wings in between, and that just helps to grab it and gives it some visual interest. There are 5 white colored ones, and there was a really nice muted orange color that goes really well with black. And as you can tell, some of the indices are orange, some of the markings on the slide rule are orange. The radio level is orange, so you got some nice orange accents there, which is very pleasing. They didn't overdo that. You know, it's more of a tactical, understated kind of watch as opposed to, more garish, bright colors. Very tastefully done. As opposed to the older one, which only had indices, this one has Arabic numerals, and it's kind of like a stencil Arabic numerals, which is very military looking. I think the numbers are really nicely done, gorgeous. It doesn't detract at all, and I think all the numbers would have been too much. They wouldn't have room, so the way they did it, I think, is really nice. At 12 o'clock, they have the nice triangle like you see on a lot of pilots' watches. So in the dark, low light, you can tell that it's going to be up at 12. It's luminous as well. The loom is a nice blue loom. We're going to see that in a little while. You can see the blue on the hands already kind of showing through because the hands glow much more than, well, not too much more than the numbers, but they glow pretty good. So you got a flat, anti-reflective coated sapphire crystal. That's the big deal in this watch. That's one of the reasons why I got this watch, because I don't know if I'm going to upgrade from my other one, but this one has a domed, asking to be scratched mineral, a slight dome, but it is over the edge. I mean, you can see the distortion there. See how it's a domed mineral crystal? So this flat AR coated sapphire crystal is exceptional. Really nicely done. That's what pushed me over the edge to buy this. Yeah, I'm a sucker for sapphire crystal. All right, 43 cities, like I mentioned. Let's see if there's anything else that I missed here on the watch itself. Let's go around to the case. We can see that we have a coin edge bezel, like I said. Really easy to turn, no problem. Making your calculations. And just for symmetry, I like to put the orange at the top. The pushers work really well. There's no screw down pushers or anything like that. Obviously, you're not going to push them while it's underwater. And as you can see, the case is, a lot of it is brushed on top. And then you get along the sides, you see all the slots. Really hard to do. The IP coating, they alternated right there. You can see where my thumb is, it's flat. And then this one, it's glossy. And this one is glossy. So it's mixed on flat and glossy finish. Gives it a professional look instead of not too blingy. Here we got all brushed on the side there. And then over here we got some polishing. And the same, they carry through on the bracelet, like I mentioned before. We got a push button clasp, only 2 micro adjust, so I'm kind of sad about that. I wish there were more. I take walks a lot and hikes through the woods and so forth, and your arms swell up from the centrifugal force on the arc of moving your arms, and also the blood to cooling ends up heading that way. Nice milled clasp. Isn't that nice to see instead of stamped? Beautiful milled clasp, very nicely done. Very easy to open, but very secure. And there are no half links. In only 2. So that's one of the issues I have with the bracelet. I wish there were more, like 4 or 5 of these, especially if they're not going to have half links. They're not screws, but they are pins to push through. As you can see there, you push them through, there's arrows. Again, that's not easy to do either. They have those little tiny collars inside. If you haven't done it before, man, it's going to be a shock. So try not to do it unless you know what you're doing. It's not easy. All right, so the back is a little bit different than the previous one too. This one is a little bit more rounded. They're both pressed. They're not screw down backs. I don't know how they do the 200 meter water resistance with the pushers and everything, but they do. Citizen is known for that. So that's pressed in back. That's what the back looks like in this one. And then this one here, it's I don't know, I like this one better. It's a more precise angle on the flat versus the curve reaching around to the full diameter. And it's going to be hard to read and focus on it. But it has the regular stuff, sapphire crystal, 200 meter water resistance. It has the Citizen World Globe. Let's see if we can do it there. There we go. We can do that a little bit better. There we go. So yeah, it's a nice etched back. It's not doesn't have the cool animals or diving. What would be cool on here would be a plane. That would be cool. I'm a sucker for that stuff. If there's like a milled back, like the sea monster on the Omega or the Echozilla Citizen diver that has the bell type diving thing on it, man, I love that stuff. I wish more watches have it. It gives it another dimension of your watch that you're carrying. That's the back has a display back or something cool. So I like when there's a little bit extra on there. Let's see if there's anything I missed. I'm going over. There's so much here. I made some notes to see if I missed anything. I think I talked a lot about that. Of course, anything I missed, please put in the comments. All right, let's go through the pros and the cons. So the pros are it's 200 meter water resistance, even though it is a pilot watch. It has all the function I mentioned, and that's a pro. Sapphire crystal, that's not only sapphire, but it has the anti-reflective coating. You can look at 3 time zones at once. These are all pros for me. It looks good. You know, it looks really cool. It's one of the coolest looking watches I've ever seen, especially this iteration. I think it's the best one, except the titanium. I like the titanium one they used to make. I don't know if they're making titanium in this version, but I'd be all over that. But it's probably going to be pushing $900 or $1,000 probably if they do make it. I probably didn't mention yet, but this one here here's another reason there's a weight difference. This is 22 millimeter, the ubiquitous 22 millimeter lug width, which I think they make more bracelets, straps, rubber bands, and everything than any other size of this type of watch, of tool watches. And so that means NATO straps. How cool. You know what I was thinking would be really cool on this would be a NATO strap that's all black, and then it had the orange accent in it or something. I think that'd be cool and fun to swap out on. As opposed to the other one, this is 24. So the bracelet is 24 millimeters wide, and that's why it's so darn heavy as well. So this one has 22 millimeter lug. So that's another pro for me. On the cons, it's heavy on the bracelet. You know, that's lighter than the other one, but it's still heavy. If you're used to wearing a 2.5 ounce Citizen, you know, field watch or a G-Shock, and you put this on, it's going to be a difference. If you're used to wearing really heavy divers, then this won't be no difference. It's going to be great. But if you're used to wearing lighter watches, this is going to be really heavy for you. I've read reviews where they returned it because they didn't realize that these watches are heavy when you get this size, and they're all stainless steel. So heavy on the bracelet for some people. And then it's going to be a little top heavy if you buy a strap that's too wimpy for this watch. So you want to get a beefy, you know, like a 22 millimeter or something like this. See how thick that is? Or a nice NATO that you can cinch up, something like that. So, and it's a large watch. So that's one of the cons. It's just a large watch. Even though it's smaller than the other one, you know, it's still a large watch. So if you got, you know, 6 1/4 inch wrist, it's not going to work. You got to be have a little bit bigger wrist to carry it and to pull it off. And then difficulty in getting that bracelet on. You know, so it makes it so you're really not going to put a bracelet on and swap it back and forth. Once the bracelet's off, it's going to be really easy to switch on and off everything. But when it has this, it's really, you know, a lot more difficult. And I think that that's about it. So I give it a big thumbs up. I'm sorry that it went longer. Hopefully you paused it and went and got a cup of coffee or a drink or something. It went over 30 minutes. There's just so much on these watches to say that it's hard to do it in 10 minutes or something like that. There's just so much here. But just a gorgeous watch. It's pretty, and if you're even thinking about it, I wouldn't hesitate on getting it because there's just so much functionality to it and it looks so good. And it's one of the best iterations that it's really great. But before I go, I'm glad I remembered about the Loom. The Loom is great. It's all blue. The second hand, like a lot of Pilot watches, as opposed to dive watches, there isn't any Loom on the second hand. But that makes it thinner and not ever in the way of everything else going on the dial. So I think that's another reason that they did that. All right, so let's see if we can get the lights a little bit darker here. I like window light. It's one of the most natural lights. So get a little bit darker in here before we go. There we go. This will be worth the wait. Get to check out the awesome Loom that is on here. Oh, we're getting there now. Oh, look, I didn't even put the light on it yet. You can already see the Loom, but I'm going to blast it anyway. So let me darken it out for a second. Just 2 seconds, that's all it takes. There we go. Oh, it's focusing. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. So as you can see, all the indices and numbers glow, especially the Arabic. It looks really nice. So it's got a really nice, let's see if it'll focus. Yeah, look at that glow. Also, if you notice, the function hand at the bottom is one of the other Looms. So you got the minute and hour hands. And by the way, it lasts all night. You know, I blast with a flashlight just 2 seconds. And I always test my watches like that. Wake up 5 in the morning, 6, 7, whatever. Your eyes are used to the dark when you're sleeping. So even though it's much dimmer, you can still see the time. So it lasts all night. Usually lasts 8 hours. And there's that function hand that is also luminous. So that's what it looks like. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks so much for watching Wristwatch Obsession. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. And put that little bell notification on. I'm doing a lot of reviews lately. I got that TISO coming up in a few days. And we'll catch you next time here on Wristwatch Obsession. Have a nice day.